Hedera continues to shine on this channel, and I know what you guys are going to be saying in the comments. Nick, HBAR is doing absolutely nothing. It's sitting at X, Y, and Z price. It's down, this percentage over the last couple of days. When are you going to, talk about this? When are you going to address this? And listen, I've addressed the price action in the space, but I want you guys to also understand that we are cooling off. Okay. And for those that are being very impatient right now, or they're getting upset about the price action, just know that HBAR was sitting at about 4 cents in the beginning of November. It ran to almost 40 cents, which did almost a 10x return in like 3 months. So a cool off is to be expected. And in fact, you should treat this as an opportunity. If that hurts your feelings, or if you don't understand that, then I don't think that the crypto market is for you. And that's just facts. But we have a lot to talk about here because I do believe that HBAR is going to go much higher than where we are at right now. And I also believe that Hedera is becoming extremely bullish. And when I say that, I mean not only for the short term, but the midterm and even the long term view ahead when it comes to the adoption cycle of this technology. So with that being said, welcome to the channel, everyone. My name is Nick. For those that are new to the channel, hopefully by the end of this video, you do become a subscriber. Let's dive on in to HederaCon, which is going to be happening on February 25th. Now, we have had major events happen in the past for Hedera that actually have supported the ecosystem in a big way. Hedera Heatwave is a big one to mention here, which did really kind of lead us down the path to DeFi becoming a reality on Hedera as well. So I do expect HederaCon to be a big deal. We have some session highlights here around the cross-border payments and more. What's fueling the growth of crypto payments? This is with WorldPay, Australian Payments Plus, Deloitte, and DropCC. Which, by the way, if you guys don't know how big WorldPay is or Australian Payments Plus, do a little bit of research. I mean, these are two massive players. On top of that, why the RWA megatrend isn't stopping anytime soon. We have a few great players from the space, from the ecosystem around Hedera as well. So I expect that to be a big one. Swapland and more, a look at DeFi on Hedera. Again, I expect that to be a big one with how efficient DeFi on Hedera actually is and how big the DeFi market has become on Hedera over the last couple months. On top of that, the Great Reset, how the US crypto policy is suddenly different, which we do know it has changed. The entire landscape around the US market with crypto, around, regulations, things are starting to look a little bit different. And when we think about that, Hedera is going to be a star player there because of how ahead of the game they have been in terms of compliance and regulations. So I do expect HederaCon to be a big deal. And they have been, marketing this heavily. I mean, even if we look at this, we could see, this is the HederaCon, post here. They've been posting quite a bit about it. So I am expecting this to be a very big event. And we have been seeing, a few posts regarding this with a few updates with like AI and things like that tied to it. So, expect a few big updates happening at HederaCon. A lot of great ecosystem players are going to be there as well. So, definitely, mark this on your calendar if you are an HBAR holder on February 25th. It's going to be a full day of great updates. Now, outside of that, let's actually talk about a few things happening on Hedera. Number one, Hashport. So Hashport was the original interoperability solution that was launched around Hedera. And we actually have here the current market value of all assets bridged by Hashport now sits at an impressive $512 million in total Web3 commerce. As Hedera keeps gaining awareness as being the place to build hardened real-world use cases for RWAs and everything in between, this number is primed to continue growing rapidly. We're here for it, for all, our users, for the network, onward. Now, yeah, this is huge. In fact, this is a great announcement in terms of how much money is actually being bridged here. It shows us how much adoption is taking place as well around Hedera. And I think that that's also very clear when it comes to the volume and even HBAR volume within the DeFi side of things. So, for an example, TVL right now is down. We've been watching this kind of plummet a little bit with the market. It did hit about roughly $400 million. It's down to about like 251 million. So it's nothing too crazy, but it is still a significant drop. But outside of like TVL, if we don't really focus on that, we actually look at volume and even HBAR volume, January was still a very big month for Hedera. In fact, we, overshadowed November just slightly, nothing too crazy here. In terms of actual volume, $427 million. In terms of token volume, it was actually almost $23 billion versus, token volume in November sitting at about roughly almost 21 billion. And the actual volume just around DeFi sitting at about roughly 324 million. Now, it wasn't as big as December with, the token volume hitting almost 60 billion and the volume itself hitting almost 630 million, but it's still a very good month. And I do expect, the next few months to be very bullish for Hedera, because I do expect these next few months to be very bullish for the entire space. But it's very clear that there is so many big players now tied to Hedera's DeFi market, and I only expect these protocols to grow more and more. But I also expect to see a lot more protocols on Hedera, similar to, like, for an example, Ethereum. But I think that that's also going to happen because of the amount of core developers and commits as well. If we actually look at this thing on the monthly time period, we could see that January was still a very big month for commits and for or devs in general. I mean, it was bigger than November and also even bigger than December in terms of the amount of commits and developers working on the network. If we look at this thing on the weekly, you could also see that growth. Now, I will say June 1st of 2024 was one of the biggest months for commits and dev activity in general, with over 13,000 commits, which rivaled even Ethereum. So again, there is a lot of building happening behind the scenes for Hedera. And I do expect, like I said, that to be more DeFi protocols, more use cases are on the ecosystem itself. So, we have a lot more left in store for Hedera, and I think that we're going to hear a lot of that at HederaCon. Now, on top of this, we have been hearing a lot of talks about the big players like Google, for an example, investing massive amounts of money into AI this year. Now, we know that this year is going to be huge for AI, especially with, like, NVIDIA, for an example, announcing the 50 series, basically marketing it all around AI. So almost all of the big players are now starting to look at AI in a big way. Google plans to invest $75 billion into AI in 2025, and Meta is allocating about $65 billion to expand its AI infrastructure. So AI is the big narrative. Now, on top of that, we know that Google is a GC member of Hedera's. They joined back in 2020. Did anything happen with this? Did we see, Google building anything on Hedera? Not exactly. We haven't really heard much about this since then. Are they just governing the, network? Could very well just be that simple. But I do expect, something to happen with some of the GC members. Is Google going to be one of them? We don't know yet. We haven't really seen much. But it would make sense for Google to really kind of look into Hedera for AI, or any, major AI use cases because of what's been happening around Hedera. Also, big shout out to Generation Infinity, because talking more so about AI, here we have Hedera Global Expansion tracking the trust layer of the internet. HBAR Network is transforming the world from the decentralized AI society and Davos to 3 billion in tokenized diamonds with Voltic, real-time payments with DropCC, HederaCon 2025, and more. Now, listen, I'm going to go in depth on this a little bit more here in a second, but I just want to show you guys 4 images. I want to show you guys 4 images and really kind of express to you guys. I think that when we think about bullish, okay, what's bullish to you guys? Because when I think about bullishness in this space, I think about a project that's constantly expanding, constantly, announcing partnership after partnership after partnership. And, it's kind of crazy, but I feel like a lot of people completely overlook all of the moves that Hedera has made in the last couple months. For an example, I mentioned NVIDIA. We have to bring it up again. All right. AI itself becomes so talked about around crypto, and a lot of these AI crypto projects are just blatant, hype speculation projects. Hedera is literally building trustworthy AI use cases with 2 of the biggest companies out there, Intel and NVIDIA. It's kind of crazy, right? It's kind of crazy to see these 3 names together. But then when you look at the actual GC list, it doesn't really reflect how crazy it is, because you see Google, you see Hitachi, you see IBM, you see these big banks, you see ServiceNow. I mean, Hedera is completely in a league of its own, and I've always said that. I've always said that because it's true, right? Hedera is such a big name now in this space, and it's only getting bigger and bigger and bigger as time goes on. But it's not just this image. It's this image. Big shout out to Tokenizer. You know, he's working with me on the Discord. He's been doing a lot of research. You look at these moves behind Hedera, and a lot of people just don't realize that they're actually there. For an example, Hedera is a part of MTech with central bank adoption. They've been working together since going back to like 2021. You also have Project New Dawn for CBDCs with Microsoft and MTech, the Central Bank of Ghana. You also have Accenture and MTech with interest from big leagues. This is, again, around their CBDC platform. They've invested into their CBDC platform with MTech. And then you also have the UDPN with Red Date Tech, external CBDC rails. Then the trials began with Navati and the Monetary Authority of Singapore, again around digital currencies, digital fiat currencies. Then you have Shinhan Bank with SCB, crossing borders in real time. Again, all around cross-border payments, FX, markets. I mean, the list goes on here, right? Like, we can mention a few of these, but Hedera with central banks and commercial banks, that's a huge deal. And that's continuing to grow, and we're starting to see a lot of adoption there. Even the Filipino banks that are going to be launching a stablecoin within the Hedera stablecoin studio, that's another big deal. Just another big partnership to add to this list. Then, of course, we have the GC itself. The GC is extremely bullish. We have it over here as well. I mean, this GC is unlike anything else in crypto. I can go on for days about this, but I'll just leave it there. Outside of that, we have AI. This is the AI on Hedera image from Tokenizer as well. And yeah, I mean, you look at this, you have sustainable AI innovation with Equity Labs, with Climate GPT. That's basically worked on with the World Economic Forum. You have Prove AI with, Casper Labs, or formerly Casper Labs. I'm not going to mention too much about that. We've talked about it. I don't really like Prove AI because of the team behind it. But hey, if it's a big success, it's great for Hedera. Outside of that, we have Hugging Face, which is open source trusted AI with Equity Labs again. Then you have NVIDIA with Intel, Verifiable Compute. Again, Equity Labs being tapped in a big way. Verifiable Compute Part 2, which is Databricks, Palantir, and also even ServiceNow. Again, some great players there. ServiceNow services 80% of the Fortune 500. Accenture Professional Services AI. Again, Accenture is a massive player utilizing Equity Labs within Hedera. Then you also have WiseKey with Sealcoin. Machine to machine, that's a big one as well. That's Internet of Things with AI. Then Sovereign Wealth Ties with Abu Dhabi's government-owned Sovereign Wealth Fund, which partnered up with Equity Labs for AI and sustainability purposed initiatives. Guys, the AI adoption on Hedera is absolutely insane, which is why I brought these images up instead of going in depth on a lot of what we are seeing here from Genfinity, which, by the way, again, Genfinity is killing the game right now. If you guys haven't checked them out, go and check them out. But here we have to join the revolution, AI blockchain synergy, RWAs, developer tools. Like, HederaCon is going to be huge for really kind of unveiling a lot of this information. But AI on Hedera is a big thing that everyone should focus on because it's now growing in recognition. It's becoming a big talking point, and I feel like nobody understands at this current moment in time just how big the AI convergence with blockchain will be, because blockchain is so crucial for the adoption of AI at scale, and you don't get that without something like Hedera that's trusted, that's immutable, that can bring these things on chain in a scalable way. That's why Hedera is seeing so much growth right now and so much adoption from the biggest powerhouses out there. I mean, it's very clear that Hedera Tech is on a completely different level. It's very clear that Hedera is in a league of its own, and it's very clear that HBAR is going to be a very big player in the crypto market. When we start to see this market, taken seriously, and we start to see maturity really become the driver of this space through utility, I think that HBAR is going to be very high up on that list, top 5 at least, in my opinion. And I stand by that. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, to notifications on because more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, it's been Nick. Thanks for watching. Peace out.